What? Man, there's a lot of scratches on this Catch 22 TV series. Uh, when I cleaned it, it actually skipped parts that were cleaned before, and then allowed me to watch the ones that I wasn't able to watch before. So this scene near the end of season 2, episode 2, uh, is after a speech that is logical. You know, if a creature has sentience or sapience, between the main character and a buddy who just got on a vehicle to get away from his speech. And that's a speech that relates to the common sense or the lack of common sense of war. And also, I'll give you a little summary here of that speech. Okay, it's if you have more enemies on the side you fight for. Like, for example, the USA's soldiers have as many enemies to destroying their own family's future as politicians or elites in the United States as they do somewhere else. And the more they serve these elites of the United States to make enemies elsewhere, then, of course, then you've got more enemies coming from elsewhere of when you're traveling or that will come into your country. So there's really more enemies on your side. And really, the chance for a good future is better to lay down your arms based on the decisions of your own elites, really. So, the common sense is clear, and it's the history of our species. There's no honor, there's no hero that comes out of war. There's really no good story that comes out of it. And as much as you've told yourselves, that you have to defeat enemies in ways that, if somebody from the outside perspective, like the elusive Homo sapien, studies you, then I could see you're your own worst enemy. When you've normalized, or when you give honor in any way to war, you've lost your humanity based on the environments you grew up in and the elites that have shaped them, and your relatives, and your schools, and your doctors, and your favorite politicians, and your favorite everything. So your entire culture, media, has been what has been your worst enemy. A lot more than strangers somewhere else who are dealing with the same. And they don't need you to go there and screw it up, because they've got a lot of their own problems too. And again, Discovery, Star Trek Discovery, there's an episode where Burnham speaks to the Admiral, where she says, we're at war, we don't have the luxury of this, and really of our own principles, or whatever it might be. And she says, that's all we have, our principles or values. And it's the same thing, right? The Federation would already be defeated by their enemies if they start acting in ways that defeat their own principles, because they're at war with an enemy. And again, the United States of America's elites and Israel's elites have already made themselves much worse than any enemy they have ever had or will ever have. Their own devolution, their own loss of humanity, doesn't come from the villain or darkness that they're fighting against. It comes from inside them. And it's the same everywhere, just worse in certain places.